Organ 1. Tonsils. Your tonsils are the first thing your immune system uses to catch what you breathe in. Two lumps of lymphatic tissue at the back of your throat, positioned exactly where air and food both pass. They sample every pathogen that comes through and teach the rest of your immune system what to look for. Doctors remove them constantly. Tonsillectomy is one of the most common surgeries performed on children in the world. Here's what happens when they're gone. Nothing dramatic. Your immune system has redundancy built in. Adenoids, lymph nodes, and immune tissue lining your entire gut all do overlapping work. The tonsils were never the only defense. They were the first one. What you actually lose is a small edge. Studies have found slightly higher rates of certain upper respiratory infections in people who had them removed. Slightly. Not enough to change a single day of your life. This is the easiest organ on the list to lose. And it sets up the pattern you're going to see 8 times. Your body almost never has one system doing one job. It has backups. The question is how good the backup is. The next one has almost no backup at all. Organ 2. Appendix. For about 100 years, the appendix was the standard example of a useless body part. A dead-end tube hanging off your large intestine, doing nothing, occasionally getting infected and killing you. That story was wrong. The appendix appears to work as a reservoir. Your large intestine is packed with bacteria you need, they break down food you can't digest, and crowd out the ones that would hurt you. When something wipes that population out, severe diarrhea, an infection, a course of antibiotics, the colony has to rebuild from somewhere. The appendix sits off to the side, out of the main flow, holding a protected sample. When the colon empties, it recedes. So what happens without it? In a modern country, almost nothing. You have access to clean water, treated food, probiotics, and a constant supply of new bacteria from everything you eat. The reservoir is a backup for a problem you rarely face. But it's a real function, and it's why useless organ is a phrase you should stop trusting. Every organ on this list does something. The question is only whether you can survive the loss. Number 3. You'll feel every day. If you're still here, subscribe. The next 6 get progressively worse, and the last one can still kill you decades after it's gone. Organ 3. Gallbladder. Your liver produces bile continuously. Bile breaks down fat, but you don't eat continuously. You eat in bursts, and when you do eat, you need a lot of bile at once. The gallbladder solves the timing problem. It's a storage pouch. It collects bile between meals, concentrates it, and dumps it when fat hits your small intestine. Remove it, and the bile doesn't stop. It just drips. Constantly, slowly, straight into your intestine, whether there's food there or not. Most people adapt within months. The bile ducts widen slightly and take over some storage capacity, but a significant number of people never fully adjust. They get diarrhea after fatty meals because there wasn't enough concentrated bile ready at the moment they needed it. Some manage it with diet for the rest of their lives. You survive without a gallbladder. You just renegotiate your relationship with fat permanently. Number 4 is the first one where losing it costs you a safety margin you might need later. Organ 4. 1. Kidney. Your kidneys filter your entire blood supply many times a day. They pull out waste, balance your salt, regulate your blood pressure, and control how much water stays in your body. You have 2. You need about 1. Some people are born with a single kidney and never find out until an unrelated scan in adulthood. Living donors give one away and live normal lifespans. The remaining kidney enlarges and increases its filtration rate to compensate. But here's what changed. You used to have a spare. With 2 kidneys, one can fail and you keep going. With one, a serious injury, an infection, or a disease that would have been survivable is now the whole system. People with 1 kidney are told to avoid contact sports for exactly this reason. You didn't lose function. You lost redundancy. And redundancy is the thing you don't notice until the day you need it. Number 5 takes something you'll notice every time you climb stairs. Halfway. If you've made it this far, subscribe. Number 8 is the one people don't believe until they read the case reports. Organ 5. 1 lung. A pneumonectomy removes an entire lung. It's done for lung cancer, severe trauma, and some infections that destroy the tissue beyond repair. Your remaining lung does not double in size. That's the part people get wrong. It expands somewhat into the empty space, and your body shifts other organs to fill the cavity, but you don't grow new lung tissue. What you get is a permanent ceiling. At rest, you'll feel fine. Sitting, walking, talking, your body needs far less oxygen than one lung can deliver. The problem is exertion. Climbing stairs, carrying weight, running for a bus, that's where the missing lung shows up. People live decades after a pneumonectomy. They work, they travel, they raise families. But they live inside a smaller envelope. And the edges of that envelope are things most people do without thinking. Number 6 changes what your body can do with water. Organ 6, colon. Your small intestine absorbs nutrients. Your large intestine, the colon, does something less glamorous and just as necessary. It pulls water back out of what's left. By the time material reaches your colon, it's liquid. Your colon reclaims most of that water and returns it to your body. Without it, everything that would have been reabsorbed leaves instead. A total colectomy removes it. Surgeons then either route the small intestine to an opening in the abdominal wall or build a pouch from the end of the small intestine that slowly learns to take over part of the storage job. You survive, but dehydration stops being something that happens on hot days and becomes something you manage constantly. Electrolytes have to be watched. Certain foods stop working. The margin for a stomach bug narrows sharply. This is the point on the list where the organ stops being a convenience and starts being a daily calculation. Number 7 is the one most people are certain you can't live without. Organ 7, stomach. You can live without a stomach. A total gastrectomy removes it entirely, usually for cancer. The surgeon connects your esophagus directly to your small intestine. Food you swallow goes straight through. Your stomach did 3 things. It held food so it could be released gradually. It produced acid that killed pathogens and began breaking down protein. And it produced intrinsic factor, a protein without which you cannot absorb vitamin B12 at all. Lose it, and all 3 go. Without the holding tank, food arrives in the small intestine all at once. This causes dumping syndrome, a sudden fluid shift that brings cramping, racing heart, sweating, and weakness within minutes of eating. Patients learn to eat small amounts many times a day, permanently. Without intrinsic factor, B12 absorption stops. Your liver holds a reserve, so nothing happens immediately. But B12 deficiency causes irreversible nerve damage. Everyone without a stomach needs B12 by injection for the rest of their life, not as a supplement, as a requirement. You survive without a stomach the way you survive without a gallbladder, by restructuring how you eat around what's missing. Except here, the restructuring never stops. Which brings us to the last one. And the reason this list isn't just trivia. Organ 8, spleen. Your spleen sits behind your stomach, and it does 2 jobs. The first is filtration. Your red blood cells last about 4 months. The spleen pulls the worn-out ones out of circulation and recycles the iron. The second job is the one that matters here. Some bacteria have a capsule, a smooth outer coating that makes them almost invisible to your immune system's normal detection. Your spleen is specialized for exactly these. It traps them, and it holds the antibody-producing cells that respond to them. The spleen ruptures easily. Car accidents, sports impacts, a hard fall. When it ruptures, it bleeds, and surgeons remove it to stop the bleeding. And then you're fine, for years. Here's the part people don't expect. Without a spleen, an encapsulated bacterial infection can go from the first symptom to organ failure in under a day. It's called overwhelming post-splenectomy infection. It moves faster than almost anything else in medicine, and by the time it looks serious, it is already very far along. The defenses are real. Vaccination against the specific bacteria, sometimes preventive antibiotics, and knowing to treat any fever as an emergency rather than waiting it out. But the risk never expires. It's there 20 years later, at a fever that any other person would sleep off. So, 8 organs: tonsils, appendix, gallbladder, 1 kidney, 1 lung, colon, stomach, spleen. You can lose every single one and keep living. But notice what the list actually shows. Not one of them was useless. The appendix stores bacteria. The gallbladder solves a timing problem. The spleen catches the bacteria, nothing else catches. Every one of them was doing a job. What you lose isn't the function, it's the margin. The spare kidney, the extra lung capacity, the water your colon was reclaiming, the invisible defense your spleen was running in the background. Your body was never built with useless parts. It was built with room to fail. Subscribe, and I'll show you what's already living inside you right now.